good to have you this morning. Thank you so much for always keeping it TV47. My name is Linda Alela. Let's do this. Take a look at the papers, get to spaces where then we'll delve deep into the details of very, very important matters. That is as to the conversation. And today we'll be having a conversation that revolves around the Kenya Kwanza government with those ones that are staunch supporters and members of the Kenya Kwanza team. And we just get to hear what they have, as they articulate some of the things that they intend to do. And of course, in their sittings, it's always important that you get someone who sits, alongside the leaders, just so they can help us understand what to expect from them. We'll definitely also be looking at the situation in the country through the papers, or what it is that the papers detail, as well as what it is that my team has prepared. We have the Standard newspaper, we have the Daily Nation, as well as the People Daily. Allow us to tweak this session a bit and briefly, first of all, take a look at the stories that have been prepared by my team, and then later on we'll come and check on what the papers detail and, of course, get into the conversation. We start off with this story that is developing, an unfortunate one for that matter. And an autopsy conducted on LGBTQ activist Edwin Chiloba has revealed that suffocation was the main cause of death after, of course, bits of fabric was shoved into his mouth and nose. Pathologists have refuted claims that the deceased's eyes were gouged out. Elizabeth Atienu reports.
These were the scenes early Wednesday at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Pathologists from the Forensics Division, led by the government chief pathologist, visited the facility to conduct the most anticipated post-mortem examination on the body of LGBTQ activist and model Edwin Chiloba. At around 12 p.m., Dr. Johansen Odor announced the post-mortem results, further giving details on what ensued on that fateful day.
All this, what we concluded that could have led to the death of the late Edwin Kiprotich Kipto was what we call asphyxia, which is caused by smothering. Smothering is a blockage of the nose and of the mouth so that we cannot breathe. There was something tied on the mouth and nose. A piece of jeans trouser which was blocking the mouth and the nose. There were socks which are also been stuffed in the mouth and the nose. In the mouth, actually, socks were stuffed in the mouth. There were 3 pairs of socks which you saw inside the mouth. The body was cyanosed. Cyanosis means that this person was not getting enough oxygen to the body when he died. Investigations
further revealed that the deceased brain was swollen, with his fingers presenting a bluish color, a clear indication that he lacked oxygen before his demise.
There are also injuries inside the mouth. We saw a lot of injuries inside the mouth and on the tongue. Other organs were normal other than being decomposed.
When Chiloba's body was found stashed in a metal box along the Kipenyo-Kaptinga Road in Uasin Gishu County on the 5th of this month, there were allegations that the 26-year-old was strangled and eyes gouged. That, however, contradicts the post-mortem findings.
When we had a look at the body, there were changes in the eye which were caused by decomposition. So they were intact, though they were decomposing. So they were appearing as if they had been removed, but there were just changes which were caused by decomposition. When you decompose, fluid, which are bloody, oozes passively from the body. So it might be misconstrued to be bleeding, but yet it's just passive flow of fluid because of decomposition.
Questions now abound as to why the deceased had no signs of physical injuries and if he was sexually molested. This might, however, be answered in a period of 3 to 4 months when results from some samples taken to the government chemist will be made public.
Also, as we are wondering why, but we are asking ourselves, was he drugged? Was he given a lot of alcohol so that now he could not resist? So based on that, there are samples we've taken also for analysis, which will be taken to government analysts to see whether there's any chemical or any drugs which are in the body which could have caused him not resist when he was being smothered.
Post-mortem results now present important clues on the ongoing investigations into the murder that has since led to the arrest of 5 suspects who were arraigned in court on Monday this week after the prime suspect Jackton Odhiambo reportedly confessed to killing Edwin Chiloba. The case is expected to be mentioned on the 31st of January 2023. The family has since maintained that the deceased was a staunch Christian, further calling on Kenyans to be sympathetic and empathetic on the matter.
He was brought up as a Christian. High school Kimuron, St. Francis Kimuron, alikuwa anaitwa pastor. Alikuwa student leader akiongoza mambo ya YCS. So hii mambo ingine tunasikia hatujui, tumeonea media. Na ninaomba wa Kenya, just be fair. Be fair for us. Kwa sababu kuna mtu anaweza taka mtoto wake akue hivyo. Just be fair, hatujui hiyo mambo na mtoto wetu amewawa. Tunataka tu justice, nothing more.
Lakini tunasema kwamba culture yetu inaonekana inaenda kubadilika, na tungeomba sana sana wale elders kutoka pande zote, wanaume, wanawake, waendelee kufunza wale watu wetu wadogo ndio wajue jinsi ya kuishi maisha ya wakati huu.
The late Chiloba, known to many as an LGBTQ activist, an entrepreneur and a fashion model, will be laid to rest on Tuesday next week in GOtv village, Keyo North, Elgeyo Marakwet County. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Now, 3 people in Garissa County have been killed and 1 remains unaccounted, and of course for a suspected Al-Shabaab attack after the vehicle they were traveling on ran over an improvised explosive device, IED, in Haley, Bura East Sub-County. A team of police officers has been deployed to pursue the perpetrators and bring them to book. Micah Gungu with the details.
Garissa County Commissioner Boaz Cherotich has confirmed a suspected Al-Shabaab attack in Hailey, Bura East Sub-County in Garissa County that happened early Wednesday. The deceased were leading a convoy of 2 other vehicles who escaped the incident unhurt.
Na kwa hivyo leo asubuhi saa 4:30 kulikuwa na magari ambayo ilikuwa nasafiri kutoka Garissa kuelekea upande wa Nanyuki, na hii magari ni ya kampuni moja ambayo inafanya kazi ya ujenzi.
Cherotich, who was flanked by his security committee members, said that they had deployed a team of police officers to pursue the perpetrators and bring them to book.
Gari ya kwanza ambayo ilikuwa naongoza iliweza kukanyaka IED. Alafu hiyo IED ilipolipuka, wale watu 3 ambao walikuwa ndani ya hiyo gari waliweza kuumia na 3 wamefariki. Kwa hivyo tunasema pole kwa familia.
He appealed to area residents to be calm as security teams pursue the criminals, saying the government will continue with the sustained operation to flush them out. Cherotich, however, noted that more details of the incident will be available when the families of the victims will be notified of the incident.
Kwa hivyo tunataka eleza wananchi wa sehemu hii wasiwe na wasiwasi, kwa sababu tumetuma askari wetu waende kule wafanye operation ili waweze kutafuta wale wakora.
The incident occurs barely 3 weeks after at least 3 people were killed in an Al-Shabaab attack in Garissa on December 21st, 2022. The 2 police officers and a civilian were in a police vehicle when they were attacked between the Hailey Lapset camp in Garissa. Police and survivors said the attackers first used an improvised explosive device to demobilize the speeding police vehicles before they followed with a rocket-propelled grenade. President William Ruto, while presiding over the 58th Administration Police Pass-Out Parade, maintained that new officers are expected to tackle such incidents.
We are determined to deliver security in all parts of Kenya without sacrificing fundamental rights and freedoms. A more autonomous, professional and better resourced police service whose members enjoy conducive terms of employment and conditions of service and have access to adequate welfare amenities will go a long way in facilitating this commitment that we have as a nation.
Mike Kagwongo, TV 47, Nairobi.
Now, 3 suspects linked to a failed terrorist attack in Diani during the New Year's Eve have been arraigned in court to answer to various charges, including those of possessing a firearm alleged to have been used to commit serious crimes. The anti-terror police unit in the area has at the same time filed an affidavit requesting the court to add them more time for investigations against the three.
During their arrest, an Australian-made Glock pistol was recovered from them, loaded with 15 rounds of ammunition, raising concerns over recent crimes committed within Kwale and Mombasa counties. The two male suspects could allegedly be linked to burglaries in Mombasa while impersonating motorbike delivery service riders during their missions. According to the information tabled in court, the detectives and other respective authorities are investigating whether the suspects are members of a terrorism group, look into their bank accounts to determine any financial ties to terrorism, and whether the respondents have had an active criminal record, among many other issues that will determine their suit. Earlier on, the respondents had requested that the media be barred from covering the proceedings, a request that was today turned down.
This court is not persuaded that the applicant's rights to fair trial was in any way infringed by the manner in which the media covered the story. If the applicant is of the view that he was defamed by the said coverage, he is at liberty to file a civil suit for damages against the media house. The application is thus dismissed.
They have, however, maintained their innocence, which will soon be determined after all investigations have been concluded. Paul, Moneo TV 47.
Now, police officers will be prioritized in the Kenya Kwanza's affordable housing project. Speaking during the 58th AP Passing Out Parade in Embakasi Wednesday, President William Ruto further reaffirmed the government's move in ensuring an autonomous police service. Stanley Nyaringita details.
After a rigorous 9-month training here in the Administration Police Training College in Embakasi, these 1,995 recruits have joined in the ranks of the National Police Service in a colourful passing out parade ceremony that was presided over by President William Ruto. The officers have been advised to shun politics and focus on the constitutional duty of defending the lives of people and property.
Katika idara hii ya usalama, Mheshimiwa Rais, umeendelea kutuongoza na kutuelekeza na umetuambia jinsi unavyotaka kuona vikosi vyetu vya usalama wa nchi vikifanya kazi kulinda maisha na mali ya mwananchi.
Rais ako na jeshi yake ya siasa ambaye mimi ndiye kamanda ya hiyo jeshi, na kwa wakati huu hatuhitaji nyinyi kwa hiyo jeshi. Nyinyi ni jeshi ya IG, mfanye kazi ya kulinda Wakenya na maisha yao. Na sisi wale ambaye tulitaka kwenda siasa, we hanged our boots, we returned our uniform and went to politics.
The president used the occasion to condemn the rampant banditry attacks that have left thousands of lives affected in various counties, further noting that the vice will be put to a halt in his administration. At the same time, Ruto reaffirmed the government's move to resolve law enforcement staffing and improve the police-civilian ratio as part of efforts to keep up with the global dynamics of national security. According to the head of state, his administration is determined to ensure an autonomous police service.
We have identified police officers as priority beneficiaries of the affordable housing projects in order to ensure that members of the service lead dignified lives in clean, spacious, safe, and secure houses and neighborhoods.
This comes as the 22-member task force chaired by former CJ David Maraga is expected to put under the microscope the issues affecting the men and women in service and later forward their findings and recommendations to the president. Ruto and his deputy are flanked by CS Interior Professor Kithure Kindiki, IG Japheth Koome, as well as Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja in the 58th AP Passing Out Parade.
Governor, how are you?
The script will be similar Thursday, as the President will preside over the 49th passing out parade of the General Service Units in Embakasi, Nairobi. Stanley Nyerengita, TV 47.
And still on matters in relation to the police service, two activists have filed a case in court seeking to stop Treasury from releasing any funds to insurance companies awarded an 8.7 billion shillings tender to provide the National Police Service and Kenya Prison Service members with medical cover. Crispin Onyango and Henry Shitanda say the tender is illegal and aims at profiteering a few individual firms. Flora Limuki with that.
Adua has moved to court to petition the issuance of a tender to insurance firms in order to give medical cover to National Police Service, arguing that the move is contrary to Section 15(5) of the NHIF Act. In December last year, the NPS, KPS and CS Interior jointly advertised a tender on provision of medical insurance coverage for the members of the National Police Service and the Kenya Police Service. The government entered a contract for the provision of a comprehensive cover for employees of the agencies through the NHIF from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. The two say the tender was issued contrary to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015 and the National Insurance Health Fund. Shitanda and Odhiambo want the court to issue a temporary order stopping the Principal Administrative Secretary of NPS and any other Principal Accounting Officer from making any move that will give further effect to the implementation of the tender. Following Justice Hedwig Ong'odi's orders, the matter, which has been certified as urgent, will be heard in court on January 17th. Flora Limuki, TV 47.
Now, Kenyans should brace for tough financial days ahead as the National Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee is proposing to increase the 2023-2024 budget by 2 trillion shillings, and which is to be funded primarily through tax. Moigi William with that.
On the first day of a 3-day public hearing on the proposed 2023-2024 financial year and the medium-term period budget at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, on Wednesday, Chair of the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee, Ndende Nyoro, has hinted on his office proposing this year's budget in the tune of over 2 trillion shillings to be funded directly from the taxpayer.
And we have to bite the bullet as Kenyans. And I'm not saying that that is entirely bad. That is not entirely bad. Even the other time we were here, we talked about it because it is a perpetual challenge that we have to face, and especially in the macro sense. Even some of our development partners, their countries are also indebted, actually more than Kenya in terms of debt to GDP ratio.
The Kiharu Member of Parliament has called on Kenyans to prepare themselves, ready to brave tough decisions by the government in order to accommodate the proposed 2023-2024 fiscal year budget, with the pressure piling on the Kenya Revenue Authority to collect revenue aggressively.
From 2013, let's say to last year thereabout, we had a spike in terms of our debt to GDP ratio up to the close documented figure of around 68 point something, and I believe it could be higher because it's a matter of the other side of GDP.
President William Ruto's first budget at the helm of leadership has been set at 3.64 trillion shillings, with over 2 trillion shillings expected to be from revenue collected, which is an upward figure from the previous target in the 2022-2023 budget. Nyoro exuding confidence that despite the country's difficult economic circumstances, it will be possible to hit the target.
The fourth medium-term plan will focus primarily on the core pillars of the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, which is the plan, namely agriculture, micro and small medium enterprises, housing and settlement, healthcare, and digital superhighway, and the creative economy.
And therefore giving the Kenyan people 3 days to have their valuable input in the budget is actually giving them the role they should be taking, because we are only representatives.
The Kenya Kwanza regime, through President William Ruto, had earlier outlined its intentional move to fund the country's budget reliably through revenue, cautioning over-reliance on debt. The ongoing public hearing will continue for the next 2 days. Moige William, TV 47.
And the countrywide assessment of schools to determine their capacity in admitting grade 7 learners has entered day 4, and that is yesterday. And as Andrin Kilemi reports, the assessment so far reveals that the private primary schools are way ahead in their preparations as compared to public primary schools.
The 1.2 million grade 6 pupils who sat the inaugural CBC exams last year are expected to transition to junior secondary domiciled in their existing primary schools. And as such, the government is out to ensure a smooth transition with the assessment of schools to determine their suitability to host junior secondary schools now gaining momentum. In Nairobi's Mathare area, education officials arrive with their checklist in hand, ready to assess whether the school is suitable to host junior secondary school. Top of the checklist is whether or not the school is registered on the National Education Management Information System, NEMIS. The assessment also seeks to find out the qualification of teachers, the number of teaching and non-teaching staff, the size and ownership of school land, as well as physical facilities, with each school required to have at least 2 extra classrooms.
By the time I'll be leaving this station, I should be able to know whether it's a feeder school or it's a junior secondary school. And that's a report that I must give them.
Oh, give the school?
Yes, I give the school.
Okay.
So that as I live here, they also know that now, based on that, on our score sheet, we have qualified to be a junior secondary school. And we're telling them, move straight home and start doing what we've not. It's not only assessing, we're also giving our recommendations to them. We're also advising them, here you've not done correctly, do this, do this, do this. And we'll still come back to check.
The assessment has so far revealed that private primary schools are way ahead in their preparations as compared to the public primary schools.
Most private schools have got laboratories, the DLP, the uniforms have been identified, the furniture, or the special rooms are there. So you can't talk of them at our level. This one, some of the schools which are not prepared are the ones which we are now going through. But most of the private schools were assessed last year, because then they are getting ready, knowing very well that they'll compete with secondary schools.
The exercise could, however, run into headwinds in some areas due to unprecedented challenges.
Shule zetu pia siko mbali. Najua kwamba itachukua muda kwa sababu hasiko karibu. Najua si kama vile urban setting. Kwa urban setting utapata shule moja inapakana na ingine. Lakini kwa rural setting kama pande hii ya Kiriboni unatembea kwa muda mrefu ndio upate the second school.
The ongoing assessment process has a minimum of 2 officials per visit who go around the schools within a sub-county to establish their preparedness to host junior secondary school. For instance, in Kasarani's sub-county, 70 out of the available 367 schools have so far been assessed. Preparations for grade 7 learners are in top gear as education officials continue with the countrywide assessment of schools to establish their readiness in hosting junior secondary schools. The private primary schools seemingly ahead in their preparations as learners transitioning from grade 6 are expected to resume learning on the 30th of January. Andrin Kilemi, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, there is need for the government to conduct training to circumcision handlers in the country in order to avoid complications arising from the procedure. This is according to the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital Chief Executive Officer, that is Dr. Wilson Arwasa, who says that the facility received 18 cases of infections arising from circumcision in the past few days.
On December 28, 2022, a family in Nandi County buried their 14-year-old son, who had just sat his KCPE examinations and was set to join secondary school this month as a result of a botched circumcision exercise. And at the Kenyatta National Hospital, a 14-year-old who is also expected to join Form 1 this month is fighting for his life after a circumcision exercise that left him with life-threatening injuries. Dr. Wilson Arwasa, the CEO of Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret, has confirmed that the facility received 16 cases of complications arising from circumcision in the just concluded initiation season, adding that there has been a spike in related cases.
The ones who were referred to us developed some complications where they were operated on in the places where they were operated, and they were brought here for further treatment. And the main complication that we have seen is what we call secondary infection. That is infection that comes after 2 weeks, let's say 2 to 3 weeks after the operation.
Dr. Arwasa now says there is need to conduct training on circumcision handlers operating in the community to ensure the procedure is done safely, since it is difficult to convince communities to shun their traditions.
You see, culture cannot be changed through by just dictating and saying, we want you to do this, we want you. The best is to work in a cooperative manner with those traditional surgeons, for example. So the best thing is to have some sort of a curriculum where we train these surgeons, particularly on infection prevention and control.
However, he has assured the public that all the patients are recuperating well, including one boy who was discharged from the ICU into a normal ward.
Of the ones that we have received, the 18, one had gone to ICU because of severe infection mainly, that now ascended to the rest of the body, the whole body. And he did well and has been discharged from ICU. Some of the 18 also have done well and are now on the way home. So as we speak, we probably have just about 12 now remaining, and they are improving also.
Sylvia Nyongesa, TV 47.
Thank you, Sylvia, for that. And indeed, we certainly hope that the measures are taken. Counties that are not classified as arid or semi-arid areas for the very first time are showing signs of drought as the situation intensifies across the country. This is according to CS East African Community and Development. That is Rebecca Miano, who says a couple of non-ASOL areas have also reported depressive rains over the past couple of months. Zainab Mohammed with that.
22 out of 23 arid and semi-arid counties are facing critical drought situation, with 9 of them in the alarm drought phase and 13 in the alert drought phase.
9 counties, including Kilifi, Mandera, Marsabit, Samburu, Turkana, Wajir, Isiolo, Kitui and Kajiado, are currently in alarm drought phase. 13 other counties are in alert drought phase. They include Garissa, Lamu, Narok, Tana River, Makueni, Tharaka Nithi, Baringo, Laikipia, Meru, Taita Taveta, West Pokot, Nyeri and Kwale.
The situation in some counties like Taita Taveta, Garissa and Tana River are improving, with Baringo and Pokot counties sliding from normal to alert drought phase. Counties that are not classified as arid or semi-arid areas for the very first time are also showing signs of drought, as the government warns that the environmental indicators are outside normal ranges.
This time round, we have seen counties that are not ordinarily ASAL counties affected by the drought, but in specific wards. And I can give you some examples. In Kirinyaga, we have Gathigiri and Kiriti wards, and these need interventions. In Kiambu, we have wards like Kalimoni, Mugudha, Theta, Wetaithie, and others that have been affected. In Machakos, Kalama, Kola, and others. Nakuru, we have seen Gilgil, Mogotio, Hell's Gate, also affected by the drought. And Muranga, wards like Mugumo, Kanyanyaine, Ruadhia.
As at now, 4.35 million Kenyans are at risk of starvation, with 960,000 children facing malnutrition. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
Now, nomination of Dolphin Nyangara for the position of Member of County Assembly under the Gender Top-Up category in the Nyamira County Assembly has been nullified by a Nyamira Law Court. Meanwhile, 4 police officers linked to 2 million forex robbery will remain in custody for 1 day to enable the investigations officer finalize the investigations. Paul Kirobi with a collection of stories from the courts.
A Nyamira law court has nullified the nomination of Dolphin Nyang'ara for the position of Member of County Assembly under gender top-up category in the Nyamira County Assembly. A respondent by the name Michelle Omoyo Kemuma argued that IEBC failed to use the correct list that had been issued by the Jubilee Party and instead used the list that had been challenged before the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal.
The court has agreed with us. The court has said that the list that had the name of our client, Michelle, as number 1 to be used, and she be gazetted immediately so that she can assume the office and start representing the women of Nyamira.
This is a matter I filed way back in September, but at least as much as we've started the new year, we've started it on a good note. I'm sure the people of Nyamira County are happy because most of them were aware of what transpired.
In the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal, Michelle Omoyo had argued that Nyang'ara was a resident of Kahawa Wendani Ward and a voter at Kiambu County and should not represent the people or women of Nyamira County. The petitioner moved to the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal at Nairobi on September 3rd, 2022, challenging the nomination of Dolphin Nyang'ara in the gender top-up list of Jubilee Party.
And I want to confirm that we had enough women in Nyamira who voted and deserved to be nominated. And I want to appeal to all other county assemblies where this kind of nonsense has been made. I can give them advice for free. Let them storm those county assemblies when they resume in February.
Meanwhile, 4 police officers linked to a 2 million forex robbery incident will remain in custody for 1 day to enable the investigating officer finalize the investigations. Milimani Senior Principal Magistrate Bernard Ochoi said the suspects are likely to interfere with witnesses.
Respondents remanded in custody. I find that a 1-day custodial period is sufficient for purposes of the investigating officer to get the statement of the complainant. The rest of the investigations could be completed even when the respondents are out on bond.
The 4, Daniel Wambua, Eliud Kipkurui, Nicholas Murira and Stanley Gitonga, who are detained at Capitol Hill Police Station, will be produced in court on January 13, 2023 for mention to confirm the progress of the investigation. Police say a businessman who runs a bureau along Mamangina Street had withdrawn 2 million shillings from a nearby bank in the company of his colleagues at around 11 a.m. when Wambua and Gitonga approached them purporting to arrest them for an offense they did not disclose. The businessman raised alarm which attracted the nearby security guards and police officers who were guarding a nearby forex bureau, who rushed to the scene and took the bag containing the money for safe custody. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
Residents of Mbaruk in Nakuru County have decried the continued sale and consumption of illicit brews, as well as the rise of insecurity in the area. This is after the death of a young man who is alleged to have been beaten and murdered by some young men who are said to have been high on drugs. Chichi Josephine with a story.
We got to this homestead and the first thing that welcomes us is this grave of Shuru Kamau, who was just 17 years at the time of his death. His mother, though in denial, arranging stones around the grave of a dear son.
Mtoto wangu amekufa kifo ya kuuliwa. Na mtoto wangu alikuwa sawa, alikuwa ananisaidia kila kitu.
Kamau is alleged to have lost his life after being beaten up by young men in a nearby pub on allegations of stealing 100 shillings, an allegation that has so far been disputed by his family members.
Nikamuliza kwa nini? Ati mimi niliokota 100 chini. Kuokota 100 chini na ndugu ya huyo kijana mdogo alikuwa hapo na walikuwa na vijana wengine hapo. Akakimbia akasema, "Hii 100 umeokota ni yangu." Na nikamuuliza, "Uliwarudishia 100 yao?" Ati mimi niliwapatia 100 yao juu nilikuwa na pesa zangu nikawapatia 100 yao. Wakaanza kunipiga kama wamenilalisha chini, wananipiga, wananikanyaga huku, wananikanyaga huku. Nikamwambia, ati ndio maana nilikuwa natoka damu mpaka na mapua na mdomo.
100 meters from Kamau's home is this pub where he is alleged to have been attacked by young men who are said to have fled the village after his death.
Kuna hatua imechukuliwa juu hata kwanza walitoroka.
Maneno hiyo ikipelekwa kwa chifu hana haja na hiyo maneno. Hataki kabisa
kusikia hiyo maneno ati inaongelelewa ya hiyo kilabu, hataki kabisa. Huyo kwanza ndiye anapinga kabisa.
Residents have lamented over the high rise of insecurity as well as sale and consumption of illicit brew in the area that have contributed to atrocities being conducted as they count the number of people who have fallen victim to the vices in the past days.
Kama hii pombe tunajua mahali inauzwa, lakini ukienda useme ni mahali hivi ujulikane, wewe hata saa ingine shingo yako itaenda.
Umezungukwa na virabu na pombe za pombe haramu katika maeneo haya, na kusema ukweli imeshindikana kumalizwa.
Some residents have accused the local security apparatus led by the area chief Mr. Joseph Mwangi of laxity.
Nyumba zote za pombe tunazijua hapa, tunajua vile ambao wanaenda, lakini community pamoja na serikali kuna pahali kuna hitilafu kwa sababu hakuna action yachukuliwa.
Chifu ya hapa hata ukimwambia maneno ya pombe asubulikagi na ogeagi. Anaenda hapo sukua pesa, anaenda hapo sukua pesa, anaenda hapo sukua pesa. Sasa kazi yake ni gani?
They have called on the government to work towards ending the menace and ensure there is enough security in the area.
Tunasema pombe ikuja imwago yote. Na wale watu wanauza hiyo pombe wasukuliwe madhege au wafukuswe. Hata ikiwa ni mimi nifukuswe.
On his part, the area chief denied the allegations, turning them baseless as he explained further on what has been happening in the area.
Kulikuwa na zaidi ya bomba 20 ambazo zilikuwa zinapikwa pombe. Lakini kwa sasa hakuna pombe. Mainly within Baluku na Echaleria hakuna boma inayopikwa pombe. Walakini kuna pombe kidogo unakuta inakuwa sneaked within the village. Boma kama 3. Na hiyo pombe unakuta inakuwa sneaked. Inaletwa na bodaboda usiku wa manane.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Now, grief and shock has engulfed Eshitimba village in Huisero, constituency Kakamega County, after an 80-year-old grandmother was tortured to death inside her house, with family members saying the perpetrators in her 40-year-old grandson, or is her 40-year-old grandson, Collins Lusweti, with that report.
Police in Huisero Division have launched investigations into the incident that saw the 80-year-old granny burnt alive inside the house, with family members and neighbors expressing great shock and disbelief.
Akaenda akabomoa nyumba ya nyanya yake na akamtoa kwa bedroom, akamweka kwa kiti na akamwekelea cushions za viti, akamwekelea viti na akamwekelea kila kitu na akawasha moto. Nyumba ndio inaanguka na Flois amechomeka kiasi kwamba amebaki nusu, kichwa ndio inaonekana peke yake.
Nikaona moshi. I felt something like smoky nje. Kajaribu kuangalia kwa mama huku, nikashuku pengine inaweza kuwa ni stima imewasha vitu ama nini. I decided to go back to my house. Kidogo my niece, my nephew alikuja kuniamsha, "Uncle, unajua Asila amechomea shosho wake kwa nyumba amekufa."
Members of the family say the ugly incident was allegedly orchestrated by her 40-year-old grandson by the name Silas Lisero, who they say has been causing the 80-year-old great problems, wanting a share of the money from the Inua Jamii program that targets the elderly.
Wakasema ile kitu inakusumbua, tunataka vile mama yake atapata pesa. Mimi najua ile kitu imefanya mama amechomwa kwa nyumba ni mambo ya pesa ya uzee. Mambo ya pesa ya uzee ndio inafanya mama yangu ameenda mbinguni.
Officer in charge of police division Huisero Kipyagon Kogo confirmed the incident, saying the suspect received a thorough beating from the public before being arrested. Added that he is currently admitted at Sonak Hospital in Huisero, with a mental examination expected to be conducted on him later before being arraigned in court.
Philois Lisero, aged about 80 years, was burned inside their two-roomed house by his grandson named Lisa Lisero.
Meanwhile, in Kajiado County, hundreds of elderly men and women benefited from the Inua Jamii program by receiving money from the government. The government has set aside Kenya shillings 8.6 billion for the program to enable the elderly live a comfortable life.
Bottom up is that we are targeting that person down there, down there, to make sure that it cushions him, at least to give him a better life.
Collins Lusweti, TV 47.
And at least 4 people, and that is Wednesday morning, were reported dead in an incident at Gembe South. Out of the 4, 2 of them died instantly, while the other 2 died while receiving treatment at a nearby hospital. A Land Rover car lost control while carrying more than 32 people on its way to Harvest Cut, commonly known as Mira, at Gembe South, where the incident occurred. 8 other people who were nursing serious injuries were taken to Meru Hospital for treatment.
Kuliletwa watu 32 ambao walikuwa wamehusika katika ajali mbaya. Madaktari wetu tunawashukuru sana, waliweza kujitolea, kila mtu kwa hospitali aliweza kujitolea, na pia wasamaria wema ambao waliwafikisha hospitali waliweza kuwashughulikia. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya 2 kati ya wale ambao walifika wakiwa wameaga, na 2 ambao walikuwa katika hali mahututi wakaaga wakiendelea kuhudumiwa. So kwa jumla watu 4 walifariki. Lakini kati ya hao wengine wanaendelea kushughulikiwa kwa sasa. Kadri mnavyoona, tumeweza kupata kushirikiana na hospitali zingine, Mudhara, Mutuati, Kangeta, na ambulance zao zote ziko hapa kutusaidia, na kuna wagonjwa 8 ambao wako katika hali mbaya ambao wanapelekwa Meru. Hao wengine wanaendelea kuangaliwa, na tuna matumaini kwamba kati ya hao wengine wote watatibiwa na waweze kwenda nyumbani.
And you know, the gentlemen that are here are telling me how their boss is a nice person. And this boss of theirs is our boss as well. He's the President of the Republic of Kenya. So we'll be having a conversation as to what his boss or their boss is planning to do for the country. I know he's told us that. But sometimes you just want to listen to his handlers. You want to listen to the members of his party to understand the intrigues. You know, they keep telling us that when these things are planned, they are seated somewhere there. And so when they speak with authority. And Kenyans are eagerly waiting to see just how best the Kenya Kwanza government is going to handle their issues for the benefit of the country. And so we are delighted to have 2 politicians on board, those ones that have served and continue to serve at the level of the counties, as you know, members of county assemblies. And you know, it's very important that we speak to them because these ones are the ones that are pretty close to the people. Honorable Keruga Duku, member of county assembly of Chinga Ward in Nyeri County. Huko nilisikia ni yellow. Yesterday I had your senator here who as well was articulating matters Nairobi with so much vigor, but most importantly matters of the country, and I think that's a noble thing. How have you been?
I've been okay.
Karibu sana. Tumekutana hii mwaka?
Mwaka hii hatujakutana. Happy
For
New
real?
Year. Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much for the invitation once again.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, I want to greet the viewers. And thank you very much for normally inviting us here to come and articulate issues concerning the people.
Yeah.
Because you know, like you have mentioned our boss and our party. This is a government which we are proudly part of, and which believes in action, in working for Kenyans, starting all the way from the grassroots. And I think the last time we were here, we were talking about the ward fund. And we have not stopped agitating for the same. I speak here on behalf of my chair at the CAF, Speaker Sabulei, my SG, Honorable Chege, you know, because I'm a member of the CAF Governing Council. When we talk of devolution, we want not only devolution of just posts, we want devolution of resources.
Hold it right there.
Thank you
Hold
very much.
it right there, Mheshimiwa. You know, that is one of the key things that we'll be discussing this morning, perhaps to also get the view of Honorable Ikonya as to whether indeed these funds that are being pushed for are quite necessary. You know, we're talking about the people and their desire and what needs to be done for them, and how the leaders, the members of county assemblies, then get to relate to the people. We understand the duties of the question of oversight, representation, and and legislation at the level of the county. Why then the desire of more funds? Why is it that MCAs want to handle funds? I thought walisema money, okay, well, it's lack of money that is the root of all evils. Anyway, fine. Honorable Didmas Baraza, we hope to get a hold of him shortly, as the senator of Migori, of course, sends his apologies. But now, Honorable Ikonya, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I don't even know whether to tell you Happy New Year or, Merry Christmas.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute,
It's
yeah.
been a minute. I think we should begin with Christmas, even way past, before Christmas.
It felt like you were disappointed that your party Azimio lost, yet you were team Kenya Kwanza. What happened?
No. I'm still there, very strong. But I'm asked that I'm delighted this morning, of course, for the invite. And 2023 is going to be a year, and I'll be on this set more than anyone else. So at least I can spare some time now. I'm not really busy, so I'm doing a couple of other things.
Yeah.
But I must say that Kenya Kwanza is intact. We're doing well. Issues governance, I will speak to them, in depth and in terms of what my good brother here is leading to in terms of the Ward Development Fund, in terms of so many other things, development agendas that have been set out by Kenya Kwanza. I'll also be speaking to the people of Kiambu, of course, with issues that are ailing Kiambu. You heard about Governor Matangi.
What is that?
And MCAs. So we shall speak to all those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of
but
course,
I'm delighted to be back, and I'm here to stay.
Karibu sana. Thank you so much. This is your home. We keep saying, every time that I could call you now, unasema kidogo umeshikika. I just used to wonder what is not happening.
We've come from far.
I agree.
The people who set this thing up, and we've made it to be where it is. We're part of that success.
And the growth we appreciate and say asante sana also. You are part and parcel of the morning show, to be precise. So we are grateful for that matter. And it's always a pleasure as well, just making sure that we articulate some of these matters. It's the only space that allows for us to do that. And we want to get to a space where we'll be engaging the masses. That's very, very important. Beyond the leadership, beyond the people that we host on set, we want to have sessions where we'll engage you and get your view. But before it gets to that point, remember, you can still be part of the conversation. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. I'll be looking at some of the comments that you drop us as we continue with the broadcast. So before we talk about the Ward Fund, before we talk about what is happening in Kiambu County, before we talk about the silent war that rocks Kenya Kwanza, as detailed on one of the papers this morning, yet Honorable Ikonya says otherwise, please allow us to as well, speak to some of the matters that are equally important. Honorable Ikonya, you are always very passionate on the question of education.
Yeah.
And I know you're passionate even more right now by the virtue of having kids that are going through these systems that we have today. And most importantly, by the virtue of being a leader. I mean, what do you make of the education situation in the country today? Because this is one subject that does not miss on the front page of the papers every morning for the longest time, I know.
Yeah, I quite agree. And there are a few things that will probably spell out. Number one is that when people say there's a crisis, I tend to disagree. I wouldn't really say that there's a crisis in terms of education sector. I only say that we rushed into it, without heading into some nitty-gritties that ought to have been looked into. But the fact is that we've already got into it. So the question is, we're in some sort of a quagmire that we need to know how to get out of it, or rather know how to make the best of this education system. I was looking at your news yesterday and even this morning in terms of the inspections that are going on, which I think are very important. I personally have one of my daughters is in grade 6, so now moving forward to grade 7.
Yeah.
So as a parent, I'm equally worried of what is happening. So, but I've tried to add 1 and 2 together, and I can tell you, is work in progress and is doing very well. And most when the government intends to commit some money into it, and mostly to improve infrastructures in schools that have not been able to. Most of the private schools were able to get prepared in advance in terms of having a lab, having 2 extra classes, having the required infrastructure to do that. But what of the public schools? I think it is important that now the government expedites the process so that once the assessment is done, they see who is dragging behind, and then they put in resources to those who are still behind so that they're able now to, by the time at a date that has not been told. I don't know whether they're getting back to school with the others, which I'm sure they're not getting back to school with the others. It should be some times later. But let the government continue doing its doing. One thing I know about the president and the Minister for Education is that they're committed to that cause. And the other good thing that happened is bringing back Barry O'Keefe's hand to his roles, because he understands this. You know, it was the people who initiated this process, so he understands it better. So I think it's work in progress. We have problems, teething problems, but these are things that we can work towards making sure that we have a smooth transition. The other thing I would wish to tell the government is to go slow, mostly on parents, because if you look at you know, the cost of living, and more so now when we engage in a conversation like, for example, are we going to have these students, the grade 7 students, put on new uniforms, or what is going to be for them? I think they'll be required to pay school fees. They'll be required to, of course, buy some items here and there, in as much as government is providing infrastructure. But we need to be slow on parents. If it's the issue of uniform, like where my kids go to school, what we agreed is let them go back with the same uniform.
The same uniform.
Give parents some time, probably to second time or third time. At that time before they bring in. I agree. It's good to
have a new uniform. A different.
You know, psychologically it makes them, you know, feel this system is worth it. But let's be progressive. Like in our school we agreed. Let's let them get back with the previous uniform. Get ready by next time, so you can buy one thing, because again, the uniform is not static because they grow. You buy other uniforms. So
it's
something that we keep buying. But let's give parents some time so that they're able now to have time to get money to.
But even speaking about the question of uniform, the irony of it all is that now, if they're in this school and they're retained here or domiciled and they use the same uniform, or maybe they get a better uniform to get that field, then what happens when they have to transition from now 7 to the next grade, which will happen in a year's time, or so to speak? So then what?
You know, junior secondary is something that falls within a few years, a couple of years, from grade 7 to, I don't know, grade what. So they can use that uniform for those years.
I'm getting lost.
A different set of uniform.
I'm getting lost. So they are being retained in these very schools of theirs. And so now the next move will be to what class?
From grade 7 to grade 8. Yeah.
So they are retained here until when?
Until.
At what point do they move from these schools to a different one?
What is the system? It's 6?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
6, 4, 2.
It's 2. It begins with a 2.
It begins with a 2.
Yes.
And then 6.
That is the confusion that parents are having.
You know, Linda, what is happening? Because, you know, the task force is still effective. It's still working. So I'm very sure by the end of this year, we shall have come up with a proper system with proper structures. So I don't think there is any need to worry. Otherwise, we would have been worried if the children were out of school. But the children are still in school. The task force is working. And you see, like we were telling you, the president is a very good person. He's a person who listens. He brings together professionals, right?
Yeah.
Including some from our area. So, yeah, sure. Professor Kiama comes from Othaya. Even the headmistress of Othaya Girls, a very good teacher. A very good principal, she's there. So, what we are saying is, I trust by the end of this year, and you see, you know, the committee just gave an interim report so that there can be continuation of education. But by the time they give their final report, right, they will now be able to come up with comprehensive suggestions. You know, we start from this grade up to grade 6. Then I don't know whether we will go to grade 9 as if there had been a suggestion of grade 8. These are things which are being worked on. Those issues about uniform and what have you, they are being worked on. You see, when it was decided that, you know, junior secondary should be domiciled in our primary schools.
Yes.
So all those nitty-gritties are being worked on. And the good thing, you know, when we talk of change and positive change while at it. That's the most important thing. So I think, and you see, also the school calendar was disrupted. We have had school terms going for 4 school terms, at times children going for holiday even for 1 week. But you know that was because of the pandemic that had struck the world. So the thing is, Linda, these things will be sorted out.
Okay.
And you see the way we used to say in the government of saying and doing, serikali ya kusema na kutenda.
Okay.
I am not sure you are convinced. You know, I used to have a lot of squabbles here with you.
But
trying to
what makes
convince
you think I am convinced?
No, you will be. In fact, I think next time journalists are going to State House, you should be included. You know, a journalist was, you know, the president.
Who should be included?
Even you.
You should have watched.
No, let me.
You cannot say that.
I'm saying.
No, he missed the moment.
I'm saying. There is a journalist who came out of that meeting. I don't know why you didn't say it yourself, because there is a journalist who came out of that meeting and said, and if you are there, you can testify. It was an experience like they had never had in the previous.
I was there. I agree. I agree that it was a different experience. But you know, it's because then these journalists had gone there before and now after, and now can speak to some of these matters. We've been there before, but not as journalists. Allow us to take a short break, and then come back to them.
Okay.
Allow us to take a short break. We have to.
The home of untold stories. Usiyakubalie maumivu ya misuli kukatiza ratiba yako. Kaluma Pain Balm ni dawa ya kusugua iliyotengenezwa kutoka kwa miche maalum ili kutuliza maumivu ya misuli. Kaluma Pain Balm. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Authentic, natural, planned. Transforming. Endless benefits. Slaty, purely Kenyan. Buy now on Jumia or Amazon.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari. You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Honorable Anthony Konya as well as Honorable Kiruga Duku, and we discussed devolution, we discussed what is happening in their respective counties, but most importantly, we are talking matters education. Mheshimiwa, I cut you short. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that at least in the education sector, a few things are unanimous as we talk. We largely now agree that the curriculum is good. You know, when our kids are hands-on, and this curriculum is teaching them to be hands-on, and picking out on their talents and developing those talents. So that much we agree. The other thing that we're unanimous on is that the issue of now the junior secondary schools being domiciled in their respective primary schools is something that was a great worry to parents. But we now agree it is the best approach, after massive public participation. So I think that there are a few things that we've largely agreed on as a country. So I think that was what was important to ascertain that the curriculum is the best for this country. Number two, to ascertain where, because I was a little bit worried when you tell me my grade 6 kid, my daughter, would now be moving to a secondary school somewhere, that was a bit worrying, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But now we largely agree, if you domicile them in the primary schools, that is the way to go. So there are quite a number of facts, factors that and facts that we've agreed on. So I think we'll go ironing them out. Consultation is the key. Let them keep reaching out to parents. Let them keep reaching out even to those students, these kids and everyone. So that we can, when all of us consult, then we can be able to come up with something that is doable and gainful to this country.
Right.
So I think consultation is the key. And one of the things that we need to do is to even educate the parents. For example, what is this system?
Yeah.
Some of us cannot even tell you whether you call it 844 or you call it
2663 or 2336.
So basically, let's enlighten our people so that even as we contribute towards what is best for this curriculum, we're able to now understand what it is and what is the beginning and what is the middle and what is the end of this thing.
Okay. And of course, we are looking forward to get that proper understanding and most importantly, acknowledge the fact that it will take a while for us to be there. But now that we have already set foot on this, we can be patient enough to just get there. Mheshimiwa, you know, you speak over Kenya Kwanza that is intact and is happy, but I don't know whether then this speaks of that. But before we even get to that, let's briefly talk about the counties. I see there's a story here that speaks of the fact that soon and very soon we might have to go back to the business of masks, and health body has warned, or pandemic health body has warned people to stay vigilant, that we still have COVID-19. And you know, it's important that we are careful. I had someone the other day asking, "Aya, COVID bado iko?" I think it's important that we remain careful so we don't get to these spaces where the variants then mutate to something that is worse. But yes, a lot of reforms in terms of the coffee sector having been taken by the Deputy President. And now, of course, path to leading reforms in the coffee sector, he says that there's going to be a lot of adjustments that will need to be done. And of course, the changes that there are concerns that the one thriving coffee subsector has lost its shine. You come from, you know, these regions that really we have lots of these species of coffee farming. Do you suppose that the Deputy President indeed will be the game changer and also the person to revive this sector that is very, very important? And I remember during our school times, we used to read about our coffee and how we export some of this coffee and how it was a cash crop and how we were getting money out of it. But today is a different thing.
Yeah, you know, Linda, coffee is one of the most important types of farming, especially in central Kenya where we come from. And I like the passion of the Deputy President, you know, when he is addressing matters coffee. And during the campaigns, you know, the Deputy President was the champion of guaranteed minimum returns crusade. And it's only fitting and very befitting that the President has deemed it fine to entrust his deputy with that important sector. And what I can tell you is that if the DP can manage to get money back to the pockets of the farmers, coffee farmers, tea farmers and others, you know, it can be a source of great jubilation for our people. So, on this matter of coffee, and I have no doubt the Deputy President, because he is very passionate about it, I have no doubt he will manage. And what I want to assure our government is that we are totally and completely behind this move to ensure our farmers are getting resources out of this, you know, this important commodity. And you know, Linda, you know, coffee farming is not that easy. It's not. No, it's raining, you know, water is cascading on you from the trees, but then there is no money. Money is eaten by brokers. And as the Deputy President pointed out recently, all these problems in the coffee sector, tea sector, milk sector, they were coming because very strong players within government circles were involved in farming business. right? They are the ones who are buying this coffee, so they want to buy at very low prices and sell it at very high prices. Now, what the government have said, and precisely the Deputy President, is that they don't want government interference in, in the management of these affairs, the selling of coffee. They want to play a facilitative role, not a kind of ownership role. So I think the jury is still out, but this is a very important move, and I'm sure our farmers will get value for their efforts.
And does it not disturb you that some will argue that, the president is in a huge way perhaps trying to, I don't know whether sideline his deputy? I don't want to say that, but there's that argument that he gets lesser roles in comparison, or maybe roles that are not really strong in comparison to what...
But just before you move to my brother, just a minute. Now, Linda, how does helping coffee farmers in the Republic of Kenya become a lesser role? You know, people like playing some funny jokes. This is one of the most important tasks. In fact, I think if we manage to get money back to the pockets of farmers, there can be no greater achievement for
what does it speak? What then does it speak about the CS for Matters Agriculture? Is it a polite way again of the president saying that, well...
No, they have their rules. And you see, in government, just 1 minute. In government, Linda, right? There is what the president even called the collective responsibility. As much as you are doing this, we are just tasking you. For example, the deputy president, he is being tasked with being in charge. But it doesn't mean he will do it alone. Everyone, including the president himself, will be doing something towards working for the realization of this. Thank you.
All right. Well, Mheshimiwa.
We talk of agriculture being the backbone of this country and one of the biggest revenue earners of this country. And therefore, when the government talks of they want to increase revenue and they want to take this country to the next level, one of the sectors that should be under the very close watch is the agriculture sector. I want to applaud the work that has been done by the Coffee Caucus, which is led by the member for Githunguri, the Honorable Gathoni Wamuchomba, who have delved into matter coffee, and they've come up with so many recommendations, which I want to believe that all the recommendations they came up with is moving issues coffee from the Ministry of Agriculture to under the DP's watch. Why? For two reasons. Number one, 80% of coffee comes from the central region. And therefore, if there's a person who understands coffee and has been passionate about coffee, not as an election, trajectory or a story to win elections and what have you, but has been very passionate about coffee from when he was the MP, dating back to I looked into his profile and he's talked about coffee in so many occasions. Because if you look at what has been ailing coffee in this country, are cartels. There are so many middlemen that by the time coffee is sold, do you know when you go to a country like, for example, if you go to Britain, you hear that the Britain is the world's biggest producer of coffee, whereas they do not have a single plant. They import, they brand, and then when they sell it back to Kenya, the Nescafes and whatever of this world, a coffee farmer in this country cannot afford coffee from a shelf, a normal shelf from the next supermarket from the place. That is ridiculous. Why? Because there are so many brokers. And those brokers starts and ends and gets the support from the Ministry of Agriculture. That is where they've been getting their support. Because these are the people who are supposed to be regulating and looking at those cartels. Now, do you continue now funding and the same structures, the same systems that existed within the Ministry of Agriculture? No. Then you bring it out of the Ministry of Agriculture, bring it to a closer watch by government. How better would you bring it to a closer watch if it is not under the DP's office? So I think if there's a time that we're going to streamline this And I think more roles should be added to the deputy president. Not even coffee. Let's bring tea. Let's even bring milk. So that we're able to have a closer look. If we are to transform this country through agriculture, if we are going to add into our revenues through agriculture, then government needs to take a very close watch into some of these sectors. So I think I applaud the fact that it is now under our DP. Who is very passionate about it, so that we look at all these issues of cartels. Let's look at issues of our cooperatives, for example, because again, the Ministry of Cooperative comes in handy here, because we need to harness our powers. We need to bring all farmers and bring them to a common table and a common market where we can all be able to negotiate for our coffee. Because what has been happening when we allowed brokers would buy from anyone. But now, when we bring, or we rather, the institutions of our cooperatives are empowered and properly funded, and there is value for money, I think that is going to go a long way, and that can only be under the watch of the deputy president. So I think that's a very good move, if you ask me.
All right. Well, and
Linda, and speaking of farmers, I don't want this to. I don't want just to hear the next minute you are telling us we are winding up. Speaking of farmers, I represent farmers in my ward, in our county, and definitely our farmers, suffer a lot of diseases because of the cold and water view. So I wanted to commend the minister, our CS for Health, because last year I wrote a letter to her over the state of the KNH or the level 6. Because Linda, what used to happen in the previous regime, we used to write letters, we used to petition the ministry, but those guys, including the MPs who were there that time, they would say we were politicking using health issues, which was not the case. So now what the minister did, the CS Nahumisha, I thank her very much. When she got my letter last year, now this week she organized 4 meetings, one at the governor's office, another at the hospital, and we were invited as the local leaders. So we were able to come with a myriad of suggestions, with various agreements. In fact, now she said we are now moving to that stage of Othaya level 6 hospital, which will be being called Mwai Kibaki level 6 National Teaching and Referral Hospital, becoming an embedded institution. So I don't want that to pass, Linda, because it takes a lot of, care for our farmers back in the grassroots there, and even the issue of NHIF came up, and of course the government is structuring that. So I wanted to say I'm very, very grateful. You could say, even the other CS came from our area. But he never did what the new minister has done. So I really want to commend the government. These are the positive stories we keep talking about, Linda, and I'm very, very happy. Now,
but how long will we have these positive stories when you are confident that you are holding together, that the coalition is intact, and when we are also reporting, sharp differences that threaten to, test the togetherness.
Sharp differences from leader.
Want to lose on coffee.
Okay. On coffee. Let's allow it to say something.
Yes. It's something I didn't want to lose on coffee. Because if you look at the Munya reforms, they had allowed 4 players to determine the prices of coffee.
Yes.
And that is where we lost it. I would not want to really dispel what Munya did. He came in handy, to help farmers. He did his bit. We now have a bit to do. But let's allow the Capital Markets Authority. Let's float it, Let market players come in. Let the law of demand and supply determine the prices. And then let's have the guarantee minimum returns to farmers so that they know we're buying your coffee at 115, 120 per kilo. That is the best thing that is going to happen to this sector. And I think once we allow the Capital Markets Authority to just float this so that the brokers and whatever you will buy now, the market, the coffee from, we consolidate it and put it to the market. I think that is the best thing that is going to happen. Yeah, I didn't want to lose on that aspect.
Okay, well, fair enough. And we hope that we're going to see progress.
Yeah, with me, I choose to, when something is being led by the DP, I'm confident enough it will work well because even the government is very committed. So I don't want to do that so much and get lost on the other issues.
Okay.
So I want to come back to this issue you are saying.
And I'm not saying it is all over.
No, yeah, because it is being written.
And beyond being written, it is what we say.
No,
Maybe.
You know, Linda, we say politics is not a church. And in politics, politics becomes politics because people have different opinions.
Yeah.
Different shades of opinion. But that one does not mean that things will not work out. I don't know. Linda, we know the president in person. And the president is this firm person.
You also understand that this is not a one-month affair.
It's true.
We do not have
but he's over. Yeah, but he's over.
Mheshimiwa, let us not be blind to the fact that we have been in such a space before.
Yep.
That today, the reason why the president keeps reminding us that I wasn't part of the previous government is because of some of the differences that were clearly witnessed. And
but you
and I and Mheshimiwa here have been on this set to speak to them. So we cannot say that we know we have a strong president who overall...
What I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
In Kenya Kwanza, the president is our team leader.
Yes.
And one thing the president have sought to put very strongly into our minds is for us to remember that the voters have given us these positions. And there is what the voters expect of us as leaders. So he has been calling us out as leaders and telling us, you see, we've gotten these positions. Why do we have these positions? Because the people down there expect us to use these positions to shape their lives. And what I'm saying is this, Linda. It's already happening. You see? Because, when a CS comes all the way from Nairobi, he comes, sits with all the leaders in Nyeri, including the senator, the women rep, and our MPs and the MCAs. And we discuss about this. Even the discussion itself, Linda, you realize when you sit down to discuss, you realize one thing. The doctors, they are very good. They are professionals. There could be some casuals there who are suffering. You address their issues. But when you talk together, Linda, right, that kind of leadership, positive leadership, when it's provided, a lot of things get resolved. Because I get a chance, for example, I come here, I tell, I'll be able to say, when you see my farmers or my people not being able to pay, it's not that they don't want. It's just that they are not able to do it. And so we will find ways of helping even those people down there who cannot help themselves. Look at what had been happening in this Mau Road, right? You see, the guys who were there previously, and the road had been approved, but all of a sudden, they start saying, oh, I don't know which, we need which permits to do what. The president have effected changes there. And you see now, that road will be done. The road that will connect Nyeri and Nyandarua and Murang'a. You see? These are the positive stories we are talking about.
And positive stories we do not refuse to speak of. But again, also when we see a crack, and in Swahili they'll tell you, "Sipoziba ufa utajenga ukuta." That is to mean then, of course, it will definitely go down, and then you'll have to figure out how you get this. It is our biggest concern right here, Honorable Ikonya. We have lots of positive stories that we cannot dispute. We also have, statistics that have been looked into, in terms of how the government has performed so far. We are positive about the president, that is fine. We are positive about the leadership. But when you see such cracks, and cracks that go to levels of tribe, don't you think it is necessary that we get worried?
Yeah, but I'm also worried. I will tell you this, in as much as I'm a lieutenant at Kenya Kwanza. But it's important that every time we want to heal something, we must agree there's a problem, so that we're able to sort these problems and ask ourselves, where is this problem emanating from? Because we've seen so deep of cracks to the extent of what we saw in Meru. And so we need to address ourselves into what is the differences between, what are these differences? Then let me tell you something. When leaders get into power, and more so first-time people to be elected, there's a lot of expectation that comes with it. I want you to pay attention to this. Like for example, when a new MCA is elected into power, he makes a lot of promises that I'll do roads for you, I'll do a water view for you, I'll bring you water, I'll do all those things. Knowing very well that he has distinct roles in the Constitution.
Right.
And the Schedule 4 of the Constitution defines what he can do and they cannot do, what the executive is supposed to do and the assembly is supposed to do. That is in the county government.
Yeah.
What the national government is supposed to do and what the county government is supposed to do is again defined in in the Constitution and the Schedule 4. For example, let me give you an example of the Gachagua Sakaja wall, for example. The issues they're talking about are issues that are domiciled within the county government. You know, it is purely the risk of the county government in terms of the transportation within the counties, you know, these infrastructural things. In as much as the deputy president has business interest, there is a thin line between what both of them should be doing. Because I also agree that we need sanity in the city.
Right.
All right? We need sanity within our neighborhoods. We cannot just allow bars to make noise from evening to morning. We need some bit of, in as much as, and then we need not to tribalize this thing. We need to have a sitting. We need to have a place where we can sit down and agree. This is the capital city of a country.
Yeah.
So we need to have sanity in terms of transport, in terms of what is happening around the city. This is the gateway to the entire country. So we need to, it's the responsibility of the governor, in as much as, you know, there are so many other small responsibilities that falls, you know, under the national government. So there needs to be a relationship between the national government and the county government. And there's a thin line. Unless we sit down and agree on these issues. And they're properly defined by the Constitution so that we're not able to tell each other, no, this is the roles given to me by the Constitution. These are the roles given to you by the Constitution as a national government. Where do we meet?
And you know, Mheshimiwa, that's a very...
Let me finish. Let me finish. Because I agree with my brother. In as much as we want to defend this government, we also need to point out a few things so that once they're ironed, we're able to move. For example, what happens is, and I want to give you a case in point, like what we saw in Kiambu the other day and what we've been seeing in Meru and in so many other counties. Members of the county assembly comes in with a lot of expectations. And then their governors will also come in and they want to execute their mandate. For example, let me give you the issue of bursary.
Yeah.
If you look at the issue of bursary, it's an executive role, you know?
Yes.
But look at the member of the county assembly. They did promise bursaries.
Right.
So how do they give bursaries? You know, our people do not understand the structures that exist within government. And it is until that day that they will understand the structures that exist within government, or we change the laws to fit what they think. Because, for example, they know my brother here, Kiroga, is supposed to bring them roads, supposed to bring them water, supposed to bring them bursaries. That because they elected him. He's not the ward administrator, not any other person.
And they say that...
And that is why I support them when they fight for the ward development fund. So that they are able to now directly look at issues that falls within their ward. They're able to now have a kitty. They can confidently say that I can sit down with my people and we agree that we are going to do this road, we are going to do this water project.
Why not enlighten the masses?
And not leave it at the discretion of the governor, because the governor now will sit down with his ward in as much as they have a role during the budget making process, during the annual development plan, during the CIDP, you know, when they're doing the CFSP, in as much as they have a role in it. We also need to appreciate the fact that there are structures that exist within government. That is where the thin line is. That is why Meru MCAs were told by their governor, now your role is to register it. My role is to roll out.
Which is the fact, and they were so mad about that.
Yeah, they were so mad about it because the members of public will never prosecute the ward administrator. They will go for the neck of my good brother here. So if they're going for his neck, then he has to also try.
Why not enlighten them on the rules?
It will take a long time.
More than
Linda.
Yes, and it derail a lot of developments. That is why we need to look at, for example, the Ward Development Fund, which the likes of Virungo Kangata nobly brought to before the Senate. And for political reasons, members of parliament thought if we empower the member of this ward, they're probably going to be looking for my seat, you know, the come next election. So there is a thin line that we need to look at. Among other factors, Linda, when people ascend to power, they do not appreciate, for example, look at the national government.
Yeah.
We have so many directorates, we have systems, we have the way things work, we have bureaucracies. So when you come and you want a road done without appreciating the fact that there is a budget that has to be done, there's probably a supplementary budget that has to be done, there is a control of budget, there is a due process, you know. So when you just think that you will wake up one morning and say, do this road,
you're wrong. I want to give you ample time, so allow us to take a quick short break and then
Yes.
In studio, Honorable Ikonya as well as Honorable Kiruga Dhuku, and we look at the Kenya Kwanza government plans and most importantly the rift that appears to sit therein. Honorable Kiruga Dhuku, unatoroka hii story sana, lakini hii story lazima isemwe. You know, I repeat, I had your senator here and we played a clip of him articulating to the problems between, okay, not between, but the problems in Nairobi. Valid points he presented. But you see, by the time we sit down to look at these points that are valid, the importance of this conversation, the damage has been done.
Now, you know, there is even something I had first wanted to collect
Honorable
Ikonya on. Because you know the deputy president, he's not just like coming out to fight the Nairobi governor. The deputy president, according to the new rules and structures of how the current government is functioning, is the link between the county governments and the national government. So, those issues that concern, you know, the county governments, they are, and that is why we don't have a devolution ministry.
Yeah.
Because the deputy president, all these, now all the roles and those connections, they are domiciled in his office. Then again, the people...
But via presidential decree.
Yeah. And we need to understand that.
You know, when we elect a president, the Constitution gives him
the
powers to organize the government as long as he's not breaking any rule as he deems fit. So our president has organized his government, and you know...
Is that not a danger according to you?
No, it's
that
not.
You say, well, let's domicile this in the Deputy President's office. Let us look at how then Mudavadi is going to handle the National Assembly.
You know, don't view it that way, because you see, even the former government, they had taken NTSA to the Interior Ministry.
Yes.
It has been reverted.
Yes.
The president has reverted that back to the Transport Ministry. The issue is this. You know, the spat between... you know, it appears as part between the deputy president and the Nairobi governor.
Yeah.
You know, and my colleague and my friend here knows, most of the businesses in Nairobi, much as we have all the other Kenyans owning businesses here, but most of the businesses in Nairobi are owned by people from the Mount Kenya region.
Yeah.
And you see, now, today, the person, or even in the pecking order of the government, the person people look upward or forward to articulate their issues at the highest levels of government is the deputy president. So he have a role, both as a government official, as a political leader from Mount Kenya, to protect the interests of the Mount Kenya people region, as much as he protects the interest of all the other Kenyans. So I wanted to make that clear because, you know, it would...
Mheshimiwa, this mentality, this mentality, and actually I'm trying to ask that question. Yes. That first, aside from looking tribal, and there's really nothing wrong with that if it's for the positive, yeah? The question then would be, how long until we realize that sometimes it does not necessarily mean that when you have your very own at the top of the helm, it's a guarantee that you're going to get the best of the leadership. And let us remind ourselves of what you call a protest vote against the reign of President Uhuru Kenyatta, that the people of the mountain would clearly say that, you know, out of the reign of the President Uhuru Kenyatta, much as we know that so much has headed to that direction, we really have not enjoyed what we'd have expected. What is the guarantee then that when you have your own at the top of the helm, it's a guarantee win for your region?
You know, Linda, there is one thing, and I have been saying this during these shows, and I want to repeat it here. The current political, you know, scenario, and that is where I disagree with my brother here, Honorable Ikonya. People don't want stories these days. They want tangible, you know, progress.
Neither do they want lies.
Yeah, they don't want. You see, as much as you want to decongest the city, you cannot just wake up one day and without proper plans in place, you render like 100,000 people.
But what do you mean, no, wait. This conversation has been there for quite a while, even before Sakaja.
What we are saying is this.
Yeah.
The governor has a right, and even that is what the deputy president is saying.
Yes.
It's fine. You have a right to come and organize the city. But if in so doing, you come and render over 100,000 people jobless because of well-intended measures, there is a problem somewhere. Yeah. The good thing would be, for example, our people come all the way to Tilum, the Kiambu people come Park Apple, Jack and Jill Apple, you know? Now, before you say these matatus should not come here, you first create a stage and you create a system that will be getting people out of town to hear those stages served. Nobody will be opposed to that. Nobody is opposed to that. You see, the issue. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Make it brief so Ikonya can come.
No, Ikonya has talked to all the world here.
Let us try.
The issue is this, Linda. Before you do that, you know, when you say from this day, no matter to you enter town, and you make it like a week or two, and yet we have eyes. We can see you have not put in place those systems you are talking about. Okay. So what we are talking or what we are saying is, before you tell us that on date 1 February, no matatu should enter town, we want to see those vehicles that will be ferrying people from town to those stages you want outside town. We will
Why
support you.
Why then not work on that? Why then not sit down and address
Exactly. That is what, that is why even the deputy president had to come in. And if you listen keenly, the deputy president has been saying, before you effect this, do this. And in fact, I like what the deputy president said. He said, if you insist on your way, we will not stop you. But then in future, the same people you will be destabilizing, you'll come and face them in the ballot. So you do what you want. If you want to listen to us, we shall come, we sit with you, we agree on the best way
forward. So it's largely about the ballot.
The very reason.
The ballot is supposed to help the people, Linda.
The very reason I'm telling you, we have the constitution and it clearly defines what are the roles of the national government. And I also appreciate the fact that the deputy president has been given a new role, and that is to harmonize things between governors and the MCAs, and to bring in harmony between the national government and county government. Fair enough, because that is what the president wants, and the constitution is very clear again in terms of the deputy president is supposed to be assigned roles by the president.
Yeah.
Fair enough, I agree. But what I'm simply saying is, so that there doesn't seem to be a rift between the Nairobi City County and their governor and the deputy president, we should bring in experts and allow them to sit down and look at these two things. One, sanity versus business. Because what Sakaja is saying is, I don't want to kill any business.
Yes.
What I simply want to do is to reorganize things. For example, we've had cases where people in Nairobi who've put up shops and paying business permits to the county government. And you have hawkers who come and display the same way as right outside your shop.
Yeah.
So that nobody is accessing your shop. You can get them at a cheaper price. Actually, they bought it from your shop. Then they put it out here at a different price. So they're making money. As you watch, that is not sanity. And they'll come in the evening when they would not even pay any revenue. So we need to have some bit of sanity, because this is a gateway. We need to see a Johannesburg. We need to see a city that is, we say, a city in the sun. Something that we can all be proud of. So what you're simply saying is, let us not kill any business, but let's have some sanity. Surely we cannot have bars making noise. And they just found us there. We had put up, rentals and residentials and what have you. Then you just come put a bar, and then we can't sleep. We simply saying, if you can't cope, then you quit.
Who authorized those bars to operate there?
They were giving authority, I agree, but probably by previous governments. We're saying we cannot keep now being haunted by the ghost of the past. We now need to...
No, Linda, Ikonya cannot... No. Ikonya have invested money.
You will get your time. We need money.
Investing.
People have invested their money there.
Investing money. Investing money
at the expense of another person's rights.
No. So you should consider that. So as you work for Remedy, can you give them a chance maybe to put full
basically noise proof? That is what Sakaja said.
Yes,
we are giving you time to put soundproof on these things. All right? We give you time, put soundproof on these things. If you can't put soundproof on these things, then you will have to go. I mean,
no, Ikonya is talking as if he belongs to the Sakaja administration.
No, I don't.
We have been witnessing these things.
I don't.
He perhaps just speaks as a Kenyan and as a...
We need some bit of sanity. So what you're simply saying is, let us scale down on some of these noises. Because we need to give people space to sleep. We need to...
Mheshimiwa is from...
moral...
No, me I support. I fully... moral... I really support. But what we are saying is, at times we overdo things. We are trying to say we are working. But what we are saying is this. We are giving you taxes. It's not just like that we came from the air or just from anywhere and just mushroomed in a day. We have been given licenses. And that is why we are saying, let us have sober discussions. Everyone can support.
How when you come to address these matters, you come as though you are attacking, as though you're threatening, as though you're saying, you Sakaja tunakuona sana.
Apana, in fact, if anything, let me tell you, the worst part of this nation has been something we call enforcement. Because it has been devoid of that human, face. What we are saying is this, and because you give some small power to people to execute something, they do it, they start abusing human rights. What we are saying is this, there is, and even the president have said it in the past, we must remove noise from our estates and such things. But then again, people have invested their money.
Yeah.
The government is targeting taxes. You know, these people have licenses. So let us also not go overboard in punishing innocent people. Let us listen to them. Let us sit down. We say, here, we shall remove.
I actually wanted to remind you that the president is in support.
But you see, yeah, I also support it myself. But you know now, Ikonya comes here and he is putting it even worse. You know, he is putting it worse than the government.
But it has to be done.
You know, Ikonya, me, I will even be surprised if Sakaja doesn't give Ikonya some job. Because he is... No, he should, because now he's so robust. But the issue is this, Linda. You know, because I had not finished, because Ikonya interrupted me. Honorable Ikonya here is talking about the issue of, I don't know, the Constitution says this, but it is not made in steel. The issue of resources, and this is the new order. If you don't take resources to your people, Linda, you are doomed.
Yeah.
You know the way the Constitution says that, you know, you legislate, I don't
oversight
know, you oversight, you represent. You know, that is the only. And that is why you see even senators who are there and should be just oversighting, you know, the counties. No, they are saying, no, we must get resources. And that is why we even at the county assemblies forum. And that is why I started by telling you here, Linda. Our chair, Speaker Sabulei, our SG, Honorable Chege, the major task we have given them is bringing us together and ensuring MCAs in the Republic of Kenya get resources to take them back to their people. Right. And before that have happened, because again, I've had here Ikonya defending those governors who are denying, you know, their people resources. And I remember in one group, there is a group, we are there with Governor Waiguru, Governor Kahiga, and a few other leaders. I was commending Governor Waiguru.
Don't misquote.
Because, no, I'm not. I was commending Governor Waiguru because, like Governor Kahiga, she is involving MCAs in her, you know, county, even in matters bursary. And you have heard even his own governor, he has now said, no, I will involve the MCAs in the distribution of bursaries. Because what happens, leader, the reality on the ground, the way we used to say, mambo ni tofauti kwa ground. People, the most available leader to the common mwananchi down there is the MCA. People will tell you, no, my cow is on heat, I don't have money, all those kind of stories. So, it's only important, and that is why in CAF we have done a petition to Parliament. We have done a petition, we even expect and hope to see the President. So that when these constitutional changes are happening that are allocating funds to women reps, the MPs, the CDF, the senators, we include funds there for the wards. So that the MCA, and this money is not being given to the MCA. You know, it is very good to make this distinction, Linda. We put money for the wards. For example, every ward in Kenya, we say we'll be getting 50 million. This money will not be controlled by anyone.
It should be automatic.
So the MCA will go and do what we have been doing in Nyeri under Governor Mutahi Kahiga. You go and identify projects. And so, what I've been saying, let these governors who are telling MCAs that they are, I don't know, constitutional laws, let them come back in Nyeri. Let me finish this.
And I'm glad that you say that. I'm asking a question, Mheshimiwa, in relation to that. And also, we need to allow Mheshimiwa here as well to say something. If it is working in Nyeri, without an extra, fund, if it is working in Kirinyaga without an extra fund, why then the need to push for an extra fund?
No. The thing is this, you'll get your chance. Let me finish.
Make it very
The issue is this, Linda. Yes. Ikonya should let me tell him, because they were denied those funds, we have them. What we are saying is this. Not every governor will be as magnanimous as Governor Kahiga, as Governor Waiguru. Okay. So, what we are saying is, it has worked in Nyeri and it has worked very well when the governor has involved MCAs, by the way, we got the highest percentage of MCAs who are elected because of that organization.
Okay.
So because another governor will come and you insist, I want to do this constitutionally, like Ikonya here is saying, we want it in law. The way the CDF is being anchored in law, the way the Senators' Fund is being anchored in law, the way the women representatives' funds are being anchored in law, we want the ward funds anchored in law, so that even if a governor comes and doesn't like you, your 50 million as an MCA will be there. We are not talking even about ourselves, we are talking about our people, Linda.
People.
That every ward will have its chair, if it is 50 million, it's there. The governor, the MCA come, you talk with your people, there is that road, there is that other project, there is that other project.
And these projects you say you have done in Nyeri?
Yes, and I'm telling you, Nyeri have grown tremendously. And that is how Nyeri became the #1 county in terms of the election of its leaders.
So why is this not happening in these other counties?
Yeah, that's why we want it anchored in law.
Linda, what my good brother here is saying, and I would say I can't agree more, because the kind of arrangement that Nyeri has and Kirinyaga has, and also to second-time governors, who have been through these systems and processes and now understand, it is the best thing when the governor and the members of the county assembly can agree on a formula towards development and towards the way they carry out projects. Where they can agree, we have 100 million, we have 5 wards, so 20 million goes to every ward.
Yeah.
It is the best agreement. And as my brother here is saying, what we now need to do is call it the Ward Development Fund, anchored under the law. Why? Because it is not every governor that will do that. So because that arrangement is left to the discretion of individual governors.
Yes.
So another governor will say, this area did not vote for me. This area voted for me. So I'll take development to this area as opposed to this area. But when you have a guarantee under the law that you cannot use your discretion, because that is the worst thing, that the law left a lacuna. It left a discretion to the governors in terms of deciding what to do and where. So in as much as they would try to control it under the budget and under the CFSP and under the development plans that they do, every annual development plans, it becomes difficult. It is left to the governor to decide what to do, who to pay, and what have you.
Does this then adjust the roles of the members of county assemblies and as well those ones of members of parliament, and that perhaps anchored in law would mean adjustments to the...
The county assembly is supposed to mirror what happens with the National Assembly.
Yes.
If you look at the members of the county, members of parliament, they have the NGCDF, which really helps them on the ground. They are able to make some decisions. They don't go to their people. But if you look at the MCAs, they have no connection with their people. You cannot guarantee them of a certain amount of money because that discretion is left to the governor, unless you agree, like in the case of Nyeri and the case of Kirinyaga. So I agree, because I've been there and I know. You remember the times of Waititu would sit down and agree, we have this amount of money. So we share it among, for example, we would say, we have a special fund that has come from the World Bank, for example. Not the Kasoba, I'm talking about the money that we would get from the World Bank. Yes. And we would agree, because it's given to municipalities. How many municipalities do we have? We have 5 municipalities. But how many wards do we have in Kiambu? About 60 of them. So we'd agree, because you've gotten this chunk of money from a person who is funding the county, and there are some wards that have been eliminated. The amount of money that we have here, let's first of all give it to these wards that have been, you'd have an arrangement. But can we have that arrangement anchored in law? So I quite agree.
Okay, well, so the whole idea is just to make sure that this is in
that you don't leave it to the discretion of anyone.
Of the governors and all that. But just is what is members of county assembly, inaonekana mnasumbua sana. And today, if there's a position in this country that is dreaded by most of the people is the governor's position, because there's that fear of the members of county assemblies. They appear to come to attack. They appear to come to, say that, well, tutakuonesha maneno. Will devolution work in such a state?
No, you see, Linda, I don't know where you are getting that one.
You know where I'm getting that. Let us be honest for a moment.
You see, the good thing is this, and that is, for example, if you look at some of those governors who have been having problems, it's the new governors. Because they imagine You just come, I don't know, you just follow the law, I don't know like how. And that is why we are talking of consultation. Consultation is very, very vital. Yeah. Very vital. And that is why you have seen even those governors from Kenya Kwishi, what do we call it?
Azimio. You want
Azimio,
to say
Kuzimia.
Kuzimia. You don't want to say Kenya Kwishi and you
Kenya Kwanza.
Okay.
No, of course Kenya Kwanza governors are within the fold. I mean that
Kimani Wamatangi is a team Kenya Kwanza last time I checked.
But now I'm bringing this aspect of you have seen there's Mio governors, the Mombasa governor, the Homa Bay governor. They are all now coming and consulting with the president. The Mombasa governor was...
For the sake of the people, it is necessary.
For the sake of the people. Yes. Consultations are so vital. And in fact, I don't know whether you saw those photos of the
Nyong'o and...
No, the Homa Bay governor.
Yes, and
the Hona Boanga.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, with protruding eyes at bombers.
Yes.
You know, very fiercely. But then again, another one there meeting the president and no smiles. It appeared like she was telling the president, President, unajua watu now hawaelewi jokes. But the issue is consultations are very, very key.
Yes.
Let governors respect MCAs. And many people say that Governor Kahiga pays me, but he has exhibited very good leadership mannerisms.
Does he pay you?
He doesn't. Okay. He doesn't have to.
Okay.
But the way he has paid me is by facilitating me to bring development to my people, and I'm so happy with that.
Was that the case even with the previous governor?
But no, there was a lot of fights. You remember the way there were fights in Nyeri?
Yes.
And so when we came in there with Governor Kahiga, because you remember our other governor passed on, we said we want to make deliberate steps to respect each other. Governor, we will oversight you. And by the way, let me tell you, I'm one of the, I don't know how to put it, because I don't want to appear like I'm placing myself, but I really question things from the county government. The CECs in Nyeri know that. Because our role is oversight. And the governor doesn't oversight or interfere with our oversight role. Because we have to question how is money, we allocated money here in this department, how is it being used? We allocated money here, how is it being used? And that is the way to go. So, what we would want to urge, and that is what we are saying even in the county assemblies forum, is that we want resources, Linda. We want devolution, and that is what I said here as we started this show. We don't just want to hear devolution in words. We want, the most important aspect of devolution is to devolve funds, Linda.
Okay.
Once you devolve funds, people will get development at the lowest levels. And I'm telling you, this country, like the way we are talking here, Linda, and God willing, we will be here a few more years. And if this fund comes, the World Development Funds, you will be able to see it will transform this nation completely. Because what we are saying is, imagine all the about...
As you cut to chase, Mheshimiwa.
Yes. Imagine the over 2,000 wards in Kenya. All of them, every year, they are getting at least that million to 50 million for development, and they are utilized properly. I'm telling you, from Mandela to Nyeri to Mombasa to everywhere. I'm telling you the kind of development you will see in this nation, the kind of transformation you will see in this nation.
Mheshimiwa, I'm glad that you say, I'm glad that Mheshimiwa mentions that they're utilized. Honorable Ikonya, so we give you ample time.
Yeah.
How about we take a short break and then come back to you?
That will be fine.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Stories. Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata Pata ushauri wa daktari. Are you looking for a college that will shape your future career? At Candy College of Beauty and Applied Sciences, we offer advanced courses with personalized attention to our students. Come and get your diploma or certificate in cosmetology, hairdressing and beauty therapy, diploma in community development and social work, or certification in catering and accommodation operation. We also offer diploma in nutrition and dietetics and many more. All of our graduates have secured employment in the job market, while others have gone into entrepreneurship. What are you waiting for? Join us today. For more information on how you can enroll, visit us at the London Beauty Building, 5th floor, Taveta Road, Nairobi, or call us on 0726 031 109 or 0784 515 606. Facebook, Candy College of Beauty and Applied Sciences, or on Instagram, Candy College of Sciences. Our January intake is ongoing. Candy College of Beauty and Applied Sciences is the cutting edge college.
Usiyakubalie maumivu ya misuli kukatiza ratiba yako. Kaluma Pain Balm ni dawa ya kusugua iliyotengenezwa kutoka kwa miche maalum ili kutuliza maumivu ya misuli. Kaluma Pain Balm. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Since 2009, All Saints has strived to nurture confident, responsible, and ambitious young men into future leaders. Located on 20 acres in a serene and conducive environment, some 4 kilometers from Embu Town Center, it's a modest, cost-friendly education center. We are proud of our strong heritage of opening minds, unlocking talents, and building leaders. We prepare young men for a life dedicated to leadership, achievement, and service to the world. All Saints Senior Boys Academy. We make the difference.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
We are back, and we're still talking about the counties. This is the last laps of this very important segment. There's a lot of things that are happening in the counties that, sometimes we get to a point where we ask ourselves whether we can trust that devolution will work. Every other person who's been through this space of devolution will tell you that this is the best thing that the country, has had in the longest time possible. But with graft, Honorable Mheshimiwa here argues that, if these funds then get to the level of the counties and they are well utilized, underlying that, then we're going to see transformation like never before. But the question of graft, that when, some of these dockets are, devolved, corruption too was devolved. So that question of accountability and implementation is one that we are worried with. When we have reports today that we have ghost workers at the level of the counties, that governors get in there for the first time and you're told hii ni gari, kila driver asimame kwa kando ya gari yake, and then you find like you have a spillover, you do not know where to begin. What does it tell you?
Let me get a little bit back in time and before I get to your question, but I still answer your question. And I was to tell you that politics is about interests. And service delivery is about, entails a lot of wisdom. Yeah. You need to be very wise. And as a leader, you need to ask God to give you wisdom in terms of how you spell out your development agenda. Why am I saying that? The interest of the president cuts across the entire country. The interest of a governor cuts across a county. The interest of an MCA cuts across a ward. Okay? In as much as their collective responsibilities makes lives better for everybody. So that is why, like the meeting that we saw in Mount Kenya the other day, that the president was able to call all governors and sit down with them, irrespective of whatever political divide they belong to, and ask them, no, there are so many pending projects within their counties that needs intergovernmental relations, that needs the concerted effort of both the national government and the county government. Can you go and outline all of them and personally bring them to me? And we started seeing them streaming yesterday. We saw the governor from Mombasa come in and say, I want the national government to help me digitize all the lands in Mombasa, for example. We saw Governor Wavinya again and every governor is going to stream to State House saying, this is my list of, because the interest of the president cuts across the entire country.
Yeah.
And he knows, irrespective of whichever political divide, I saw he's supposed to be going to Siaya, I don't know when.
Yes.
But then
it should be over the weekend, I think.
Yeah, over the weekend. They mounted posters saying, welcome home,
Yeah.
Mr. President. The Siaya that you know. Why? Because President Ruto understands, and he has a lot of wisdom in terms of the way he relates with these governors. And that's what I would advise governors as well. Can you apply wisdom? Can you tell God to give you wisdom so that you're able to work with your members of the county assembly, so that you reduce, whether there's squabbles with amongst you, it doesn't come out. You don't want your dirty linen in public, like what is happening in Nyeri, what our brother is telling us, or happening in Kirinyaga.
Yeah.
That is the best thing, so that you have wisdom even as you spell out your development agenda, even as you override some constitutional requirements. Like, for example, when you give your members of county assembly bursary forms, we know it is not within their mandate, but it behooves you, because the expectation of the people is that they signed up an MCA who is supposed to bring them bursary. It is a local arrangement between leaders that entails a lot of wisdom and spells out and goes a long way towards reassuring maybe a second comeback, or rather helping the people. Prudence is what is important, like what you have said. Prudent use of resources, that this money goes where it belongs, and to the right contractors, and the right work is done, and done in the right quantity and quality. That is the most important thing. Come to your question, the question of ghost workers. Ghost workers is a problem that is not just about to go. Because the question that we've been asking ourselves is, what is this mushrooming wage bill in counties? Why do we suppose, because we supposed to hold our wage bill within 35%.
Yeah.
But we've seen counties that have gone up to 55% on wage bill. So what are you left with for development? But this is what happens, Linda. I'll tell you, I've been there, I know. Every governor who seeks the position of a governorship has a big team behind him that he promises a lot of jobs, that he places in different parts of the county to do a campaign for him, and in return, they're supposed to get some job. The reason why the issue of ghost workers will keep arising after every government gets to power is because this governor wants to root out these ghost workers and puts his.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
So the thing is, they'll come and say, this is not a royal group to me, they cannot work, this group was brought by this governor, these are ghost workers, blah, 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 blah. I order that all of them, because most of them are casuals, I order that most of we terminate their contract, blah, 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 and that happens.
Okay.
So when the dust settles,
then
now he brings in his people.
What
That is why the wage bill will never go down.
Yes.
No, Ikonya is bringing.
No, I'm a politician. I know this
is unfortunate.
No, but Linda, yeah, but you see, Linda,
no, why would he not accept?
For example, why don't we see governors come in and retain the same bodyguards, retain the same members of staff,
and that's the same reason why don't we see a government like President William Ruto then coming in and retain the very same people that were, and because you say this is a mini government.
Yes,
this is a mini.
But what happens is they will come, remove this chunk and bring in another. When dust settles, they'll bring in their people. So the next governor will come and say, I have found 471,000 ghost workers.
Okay.
And you say, I will terminate their contracts. And the next governor will come and say that because you want to bring your own ghost workers.
So then what are we doing?
No, you see, Linda, you know Ikonya likes bringing up very controversial.
No, but I'm saying the truth. But the thing, why doesn't it go?
The issue,
why doesn't it go?
The issue is this. And that is why we even need to strengthen our county assemblies even more, which play an oversight role. But I don't want to believe a governor can sack ghost workers and bring in his own ghost work or his or her own.
I remember the MC has 2 or 3 that he wants fixed.
No, yes. The issue is this, Linda. We must have very firm way of doing things. We must use public resources prudently.
Yeah.
We must bring systems that touch positively on all our people. For example, Look at what the president is doing. And, you know, at times, you feel so vindicated at having supported President William Ruto. He comes in, he goes to police for a pass out. He says, I'm very surprised that policemen go back to their pockets to buy uniforms, and instructs the Inspector General, from now henceforth, no policeman should go back to the Amiga resources to buy a uniform. The government should provide uniforms. And you see, with that, as benevolent as it is, it solves a lot of very many other issues, because it is like just those people who go and make counterfeit money. You know, people have been making counterfeit police uniforms all over. So it serves and it solves a lot of issues. Likewise, I think our governors, all of us leaders, we need to follow from the footsteps of our president. When you are doing things, don't just do careless things in the name of politics. Because, like, I feel very offended by what my brother here insinuates can even... I want to believe it cannot happen. That you come here, you find ghost workers. You chase them away because they belong to this person. Then you bring in another bunch of ghost workers who belong to you.
But just how ghost is ghost.
No, you know, the issue is this. Linda, look,
why
we
doesn't
need...
the problem...
No, and you see...
Why doesn't the problem end?
Let me finish.
How many years into the...
You know, the issue is this.
We are getting to 15 now.
I think, you know, one thing have happened under devolution. It has been made very hard, even for governors to hire people directly. That's why you find, if, for example, in our county, and I want to believe that is what happens in other counties, that is why there has been introduced county public service boards, whereby even if it's a sweeper, even if it's a lorry driver or whomever is being employed by the county, they are hired by the public.
But the executive does not interfere.
Who do they pledge their loyalty to?
Yeah, but you see, the issue is this. We need to eliminate this haphazard way of doing things. It doesn't matter, even if you want to bring 1,000 people, fine. But let it be done legally. Because then again, employment will continue being done. People will retire, others will be hired. All we are saying is this. For example, in nearly what we have been trying to do is to reduce the wage bill. Because even the workforce is beyond what is constitutionally
the threshold.
Yeah, the threshold. But then again, you cannot wake up, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier. You cannot wake
that is
up.
an acknowledgement that there is a problem.
Yeah, you cannot wake up and sack people who have been legally hired. So, with me, my problem is, you know, do you know there is someone who stays in Mombasa, like what we saw in Kiambu, the governor was saying, someone stays in Mombasa, he's being paid in Kiambu. Someone stays in Maralal, he's being paid, or she is being paid in Nyeri. That is what we need to eliminate.
Mheshimiwa, you know, we also have to be radical sometimes with the truth. That this is what the Constitution envisions in terms of the threshold. And we have surpassed that threshold. The best thing is to reduce the wage bill or to just say, you know what, let's do away with these ones that are not.
You know, if you sack them, they'll go to court. Once they go to court, the labor court will say, reinstate them. Because, you know, they are workers' rights. So, you know, you have to balance. You have to balance such that the more, you know, when they retire,
then you do not add...
you add, the proportion of adding them back is a bit smaller than those who are retiring. But I'm telling you, Linda, if you wake up today and sack people because they are beyond the threshold, because we have really grappled with these issues, they'll take you to court. The court will order you to take them back, of course with penalties. So instead of doing that, and you have even heard what the president has said, if one government term sues another, you know, I like the president's way of doing this. If one government term sues another,
let them use.
Those people who will be responsible for that case, they will pay with their own money. So, you know, these conflicts will only be handled through consultation, wide consultations, through goodwill.
How can we confidently say that then
Linda, what we need
interference
in the public service boards, the county public service boards, because it's the body that is supposed to is
mandated to
employ, you know, is to have strong men and women who will be devoid of politics and intimidation by governors, because
that the executive will not interfere.
Yes, because most of them pledge their allegiance to the governor of the day, whereas the constitution protected them with a security of tenure of 6 years. All right, nobody can sack you.
Right.
Once you get in that board, so that you're able to do the right thing. That is why the law saw it fit to give them a security of tenure, so that nobody intimidates you by leaving office. But again, when any governor comes in, they have a tendency of again now alleging it's good to respect the governor at the end of the day, because you also need to work with him in terms of knowing the quality of leaders that you want to bring on board, and the quality of number of employees that you want, and that kind of a thing. But again, for sanity to be there, we need strong men and women who can tell the governor, no, we cannot employ more drivers because we even have excess. We cannot employ more sweepers because we even have excess.
Yeah.
Actually, what we should be doing is, for us to manage the wage bill, you should be telling us who to lay down. Fine. There are political, connotations that comes with it. But again, we need both men and women who can say no to those things. But anyway, we want to believe, and I want to trust that the crop of governors that we have right now, with the leadership that we have that unifies every governor irrespective of their political divide, will come out with a way that will bring sanity in our counties. That if we are able to now increase in terms of revenue, if we are able to increase in terms of the projects that we run within the county, so that we are able to accommodate people, because one of the things that you promised is employment.
Yes.
So you can't run away from that. That again, you promise people that we bring you on board. So you cannot just come and sack people, whereas you promise to even employ more. So what you need to do is to increase your base, so that you have a platform upon which you can bring more people to employment. You can sponsor more projects, that will bring people to either formal employment or informal employment. We can have stupids and things within the county that are going to ensure that we create jobs for our people, not necessarily within the county government, being employed by the county government, but give subsidies to our young people. Create an environment for them, give them money to do business, like the Hustlers Funds and what have you, so that we're able now to bring people on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough. And gentlemen, we have about 10 minutes for us to be out of this space. When we speak about worst drought in 40 years that has hit Kenyans and hit them hard, and the Treasury then warns 2023 will be a bad year for the economy, and the government speaks of how they want to get us to a point of a turnaround. They speak of how they would want to emulate the reign of Mwai Kibaki. Just how positive do we remain, Honorable Kerugadoko?
Yeah, and again, the issue of this dealing with the drought, again, it is within the mandate of the deputy president. It's the one who is handling it. So I even wonder where you are saying he has no rules.
It is not me. I just spoke on behalf of many people, or at least some of the people.
People, they always like making mountains out of molehills.
Okay.
In fact, at times
you say that until it is clear that there is a problem.
At times there are not even those molehills. No, with me, what I want to say that I'm supporting the president 100%. Our focus should not be in those petty fights. It should be on the wider picture of delivering services to Kenyans. And I'm very, very happy so far. The government is doing very well. We feel very vindicated for having supported this government. So on the issue of drought, of course, it's been very, 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 very tough on Kenyans, but luckily rains have come. As we speak, the government is doing registration of farmers, and because they want to be, the problem in this country, in everything you wanted to do, brokers come. For example, now when the government announced the issue of subsidized fertilizers, they come, they post as farmers, you give them the fertilizer, they go and sell to the farmers at, of course, exorbitant prices. National calamities, there is nothing much you can do about them, but I like the fact that, for example, with like this registration of farmers, and enhancement of irrigation schemes, whereby we can be able to do farming even during the dry season. I think we are headed in the right direction. And because rains have come, you have heard the president saying, we do away with subsidies, but we give incentives at the production level.
Yeah.
You see? I think that will really help our country, because you see, we have been waiting for problems to happen instead of nipping these problems when they are coming out.
Yeah.
You know, we are waiting for them to come so that we can appear busy fighting them. No, you see, the issue of subsidies have been done away with. We support production. We give farmers fertilizers, we give farmers manure and such other incentives. And of course, God willing, we are sure even the prices of important commodities like fuel, unga, foodstuff, other foodstuffs, they'll come down.
And the complications and inconsistencies are
Linda,
here,
we have a problem here, and we've been told that this drought is the worst in 40 years, and it has really hit us hard. But I thank God that we have a government that is also going to hit this problem hard. Because I've listened to the president and the deputy president when they spell out their plan on drought issues, because we cannot keep having this problem year in, year out. We have a natural part of it and we have the artificial part of it. We recognize the fact that there were decisions that were made probably by previous governments that have brought us to where we are. But we cannot keep whining about the past. We need to be progressive and think and ask ourselves, moving forward, what do we do? And moving forward, what we do is what the president did spell out to you, and you were present and I want to remind my good brother that you were present in State House and you shone bright, you know. That was awesome.
Thank
awesome.
You.
That was pretty awesome.
Thank you so much.
And what is important is that the deficit that we must bridge as a country every year is what we need to think about. And that is why the issue of production comes in handy. So that is why the president is saying we will utilize every idle piece of land to make sure that we bridge this deficit of about 10 million bags that happens almost every year. We need to sustain ourselves. We need to, and then we look at droughts. Let's not even look at maize only. I don't know who told us that we cannot take rice. I don't know who told us that we cannot take wheat and all those things. You know, so we need to look all around in terms of what we can be able to produce as a country, so that we bridge this gap. But what I love about our president is saying, what I love about our president is when he says, we may have temporarily have this problem, but I am looking into measures of making sure that we will not have this forever. Right. You know, let's be self-sustaining. So I think I'm satisfied. We need to. One of the things I normally tell people, and also in the northern part of this country, one of the things that we need to do is not even to dig dikes. It's not even to sink dams and what have you. One of the things that we majorly need to do in these arid and semi-arid areas is to educate our children, is to educate our people. This nomadic way of living, can we have villages where after you go normal, you can come back to, or you can leave your women and children so that they're able to attend school? Because once you open their eyes, once you open their minds, once you liberate their thinking, in the future, they'll be able now to train their people in terms of the best farming practices, you know, the best water harnessing, you know, measures and what have you. So education is very important in this, and it goes a long way. Probably this will be realized 10, 20 years later, but we need to start initiating these, these programs as early as now, so that we have we will eliminate this problem once and for all. I think that is
that's the way to go.
Approach, yeah.
All right, we remain positive. Utajitetea ukiwa pande gani as we finish?
Yeah, you know, you know, Linda, in the history of this world, you can never, and I repeat, you can never lead people through pessimism.
Okay.
You have, in fact, as a leader, you are supposed to be a source of optimism.
You know, that's what Kimani Ichung'wah told us someday, that kazi yenyu kama wanasiasa is to sell hope.
You have to. You have no choice. In fact, hope. Look, Linda, you know, we expect after our earthly span to go to heaven. You can only get to heaven through hope.
Okay.
So, if you need hope to go to heaven, You even have to have it in more plenty quantities here in the world. Yes. So, but Linda, what I was saying is, I'm very happy, and I want to finish where we started. You know, at Odaya, I want to encourage our people, because again, here hope comes in, and remind them the CEC Health did say that from now the initial plan that His Excellency Mwai Kibaki had of having Odaya National Teaching and Referral Hospital. The minister now has brought back that issue very positively, because she said soon she will be putting in place a working committee of actualizing Mwai Kibaki National Teaching and Referral Hospital in Odaya, which will be now the current KNH level 6 Odaya, and which will be studying on its own, you know, an independent entity, which will be being directly funded by the exchequer, like other level 6 hospitals. And the minister did promise she's going to fast track the issue of CT scan, MRI services. And we as the local leaders, we are still going to insist that our local people should be covered at the facility by NHIF. All we have agreed is that we shall request our people maybe to decongest the facility. They can start with the level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hospitals that are around, so that those complicated illnesses can end up at that hospital. But the minister made this very clear. And I really want to thank our...
As we sum it up.
Yes, as we come to a close. That should someone find themselves there, they should be treated without much ado. And I want to thank the doctors there, even the Dr. Kamuli, Dr. Muiruri, who is in charge there, all our workers there. And we have agreed now, from now henceforth, we shall be resolving our issues through consultations. That is what the other regime had denied us. They were accusing us of being Ruto's people. And I said, yes, we are Ruto's people. William Ruto is the president, and we are the leaders there, and we shall make it work for our people. You see, I'm still selling hope to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for selling hope to us. We know you can only trust. What we're left with is to just trust on that hope that is being sold to us. Otherwise, we are very grateful for starting the year with us on a very good note, and we're looking forward to greatness. No more talking about the previous regime. No more reminding us of how the previous regime left it, on a very bad note. No more of saying, oh, Uhuru did this, so and so did that. We want.
It's just in reference.
Just
reference.
Please.
My part in short.
Yes.
My part in short would be to one, Governor Kimani Wamatangi. I want to commend him for the good work that he's doing.
Is he?
Yeah, largely doing a good work. Yeah. More so in the universal health approach, and when it comes to issues governance, the fact that he has seated ground and agreed to sit down with the members of the county assembly to look for a good way, for spelling out development to the people of Kiambu. But I want to remind him of something. Kiambu constituency and most of Kiambu town happens to be the county headquarters. And we have a strained way of doing business. We are privy to some information that the Kiambu Golf Club has ended its lease. We're talking a well over 65 acres of public land. And we're asking the governor of Kiambu, the Honorable Kimani Wamatangi, it is time we expand the Kiambu infrastructure. It is time we make sure that the people of Rebaiwad and most of the people of Kirigiti benefit from that land. We are kindly asking you not to renew that lease to the members of Kiambu Golf Club. Those are just a couple of few rich people golfing around, which is good. I have no problem. It was viable then to give them that land. It is unviable now. It is time we divide this land, not in piece, but the whole of it, to the people of Kiambu, so that we build a stage for the people of Kirigiti. We're able to build a modern market for the people of Kirigiti. We're able to build toilets, for the people of Kirigiti. There does not exist any. The congestion that is in Kirigiti needs some space. so is the congestion that is in Kiambu market, the hawkers, the market itself. You know, a lot of infrastructure development that needs to be done within Kiambu town can be done in that land. We are asking you as a people, do not renew that lease.
Well,
I know, Governor, when you talk of those people who play golf in that place, it's like throwing your hand or finger in the fire. But let me tell you, we are going to support you. Hold the bull by its horns, we'll go for the balls, that bring this bull down.
You know, that is also another angle that perhaps you'd have. Yes?
Yeah, so I'm pleading with the governor because we are watching, and the residents of Kiambu are watching. If that doesn't happen, we'll camp by his office, we'll camp by the golf club.
You know, you'd have
but
told me
we
to do
must
some proper
get
research on
that
that one so that
land back.
You're inciting people.
Okay.
I'm not inciting people. I'm saying the truth.
I would have wished for me to also get into that space and perhaps we articulate some of this.
Yes, because
it's good to listen to
you know, I like it when Ikonya is giving such headache. Because when we find ourselves in the same shoes, now that is the same way he was defending the county government when it is
in Nairobi.
People, yes. No, that Ikonya here. Look at it. That is the same way we are concerned. You know, he is concerned about the people, and that is very commendable. That is how we are also very concerned about the innocent wananchi. We say even as order is brought, consider the common wananchi.
Okay.
At least I'm happy because at the end of the day, he has done the right of what I was telling
Yes, because I'm talking about 250 people golfing in Kiambu town. You know, very prime land, whose lease has now ended. So I'm saying we cannot renew this lease. And let the governor do some serious public participation. And we'll tell him this is our land. We need space for the people of Kirigiti to build a market, to build a toilet, to be at the bus terminal.
Don't make 100,000
and overlook the investments of this.
No, we will do it. If we have to work with
good. Me, I'm supporting him. Yes. But it is the same way I'm telling him.
It is the same
way. Don't make over 100,000 people walk from here to Githurai. Yes, also facilitate.
Consider that.
But
we have to close it up this very
I hope that message gets to the governor.
We hope it is going to that level. Perhaps
because
allow us some
other
time to also speak to it deeper. And also get the views of these other people who are on this other side. You know, maybe negotiations need to be made so that, you know, at least everybody...
You cannot negotiate on our land. It was viable then.
But you see, you